What's up, YouTube? Pocky here. And there was a pretty fun Battlegrounds announcement today. If you guys didn't see it already, big news is buddies are coming back. So buddies obviously were a huge part of Battlegrounds for a while. But they weren't necessarily the most positive thing to everyone. Some people liked them, some people didn't. But they're going to come back. And obviously the big news with that is the last time we had buddies, we've gotten quite a few new heroes since then. And so we're going to get to see what the new buddies are. Before we get into that though, I want to make sure that if you're not subscribed already, you make sure you go ahead and do that because it helps me a ton, as well as I think this is important to note before we get into all the new buddies. But if you guys remember the buddy meter, yeah, I do too, and didn't love it. Now it's getting replaced with a buddy button. And so in the buddy button, it's going to basically give you an option to pay for when you get your buddy. And of course the cost will change based on the buddy's tier. So not everybody has the same value to the game, so it'll change the cost. And that cost goes down in different ways. So, for a Tavern 1 buddy, it'll start at 11 gold, and a Tavern 6 buddy will start at 21 gold. So a pretty big difference there, changing by 2 for each tier, I assume. And then that cost will go down by 3 if you win or tie a combat, and 2 if you lose a combat. And that's going to be really interesting to see what tiers all the new buddies are on, because some heroes obviously are better at winning and tying combats, especially early, and some are less good. But it's also going to impact how you play, sort of like the buddy meter did, but you're going to have a lot more control about when you're going to use that buddy button. You know, do you use it when it costs 0, or do you use it a bit earlier, you know, actually just using the gold and weaving that into your curve. So it's going to be really cool to see. Huge fan of changing it up because I thought the buddy meter just had too many issues, and there's going to be way more. It's way easier to understand now, right? If you win a combat, it goes down by 3. If you lose a combat, it goes down by 2. If you tie, it's 3. You know, it's a strict number. You don't need to worry about, oh, if I don't play enough tempo, like, am I gonna be able to get it on this turn? Because I don't know how much the buddy meter goes up. Like, none of that. Straightforward, easy to understand, and yeah, you're gonna get your buddy. And then adding a cost to it is also just a great change. So I'm really curious to see how buddies are this time around. That being said, let's talk about some of the new buddies. So the first one that they highlighted is going to be Murloc Holmes buddy, Watfin. I keep pointing that way. This way. Watfin, look at that cute little card. Watfin is going to actually, if you guess your hero power correctly, so if you get the coin, you're also going to get the minion if you have that if you have that buddy down. So it's going to be a not quite like Scabs, but a bit like Scabs, assuming that you get the prediction right. So it's going to give you a little bit extra econ, potentially a little bit extra tempo. Pretty cool, and the artwork is just fantastic. Obviously fitting into the theme of Murloc Holmes and Watfin, and it's a beast. It kind of looks like a Murloc, but it's a beast, so it has the beast tag on it, and that'll be something to keep in mind. Next, we have Queen Ashara's buddy, Imperial Defender. And this is a Naga, of course. Whenever you cast a spellcraft spell on a different minion, you also cast it on this. So it's going to take on that glow scale shield, the stats from a Shoal Commander, or just a little bit of attack. So it's going to be a nice tempo option as you go up. But then obviously most notably is it's going to allow you to play Naga focused builds as you go up and help proc your hero power, because it's gonna, double basically any attack that you're getting from those spellcrafts. So pretty cool there. Ozumat is getting Tommuzo. Ozumat, Tommuzo. You see? Yeah, fun. Creative. Tommuzo is an Avenge 2 upgrade Tentacular. That's the taunt minion summoned by Ozumat's hero power by 1/1. I'm assuming that's permanent, a permanent buff. It isn't 100% clear, but it would be a little bit weird if it wasn't. It'd be not just weird, it would be probably the worst buddy in existence. So I'm gonna assume that's permanent, and we'll just trust that the devs knew what they were doing on that one. But also has that beast tag and is a 4/4, so not a bad stat line itself. The last two we saw only had 2 attacks, so getting those buddies, adding that tempo into the mix, obviously something that you're gonna consider when you press the buddy button. And this one, Lady Vaj, this buddy seems so strong on its surface. Maybe not the strongest. We saw some insanely good buddies in the past, but this is a tier 2 buddy, so it's going to be pretty cheap to get. And the dev fact was that this is one of Lady Vaj's initial hero power designs. But now it's whenever a spellcraft minion appears in Bob's Tavern, you get a copy of the spell. And that doesn't seem very strong on the surface. Like, oh, well, you might not even get something every turn. But obviously with Lady Vaj's hero power, that spell can be permanent. And the amount of gold that it saves you from having to play into Naga necessarily is pretty interesting. There's a lot of interesting things you can do because you just don't have to invest the resources into buying Naga that you don't necessarily want to. And so maybe it is appropriate that you get this early because that's what's going to have most of its impact. Late game, if you find like a glow scale, you're probably just going to want to buy the glow scale so you have a shield that you can put down every turn. Things like that. But this one is very interesting and it's a 3/4, so not a bad stat line either. And of course, it's a Naga itself. So we could see some interesting things with that. And then of course, Lady Vaj has been pretty interesting with Greta in the game. So we'll see how Lady Vaj stacks up. Maybe we'll see her a bit more in the meta. Another very strong buddy. Heist Baron Togwaggle's buddy is Waxadread the Drippy. Got that drip going on, and deservedly so. It's an elemental dragon, so our first dual type buddy. It's a battle cry. Refresh Bob's Tavern with the highest tier minion from each opponent's warband. So 7 opponents, 7 shop slots. You're going to fill that board and you're going to be able to hero power for the highest tier minion on each opponent's warband. And the fact that this is a tier 4 minion probably isn't a big deal because if you're playing Togwaggle like you are normally, you're not in a rush to do things super fast because you can catch up with your hero power very quickly. And then, of course, you want players to triple into those 5s and 6s and then just drop that buddy, steal him, say, this is mine now. You did this, I did this. That one's going to be really interesting, and I assume it's going to be very strong. Waxadread the Drippy. I like it. I just like it. And an elemental dragon. There's going to be, I don't know, dual type. I just always think that there's maybe something there. So Waxadread the Drippy. Sire Denathrius. This is a really interesting one because this is combining, quests and buddies, kind of like Ticketus combine buddies and the Dark Moon Fair prizes. Sire's buddy is Shady Aristocrat, and you actually discover a quest, and the devs sort of cleared this up. That it was a challenge to figure out multiple quests on the buddy because, you know, if you remember when Sire was in with quests, there was the 2 spots for the quest and the second quest. Now it's, you know, the hero power. It's a little weird, but Shady Aristocrat allows you to have the quest reward by having a card-based reward that solves that problem and keeping the variety going down. So pretty cool. You also get that 8 gold coin pouch, so you're also going to get 8 gold when you finish that quest, which is also cool because it allows you to play into the quest a little bit more heavily, maybe use some rolls to get that quest, or, you know, and then you get refunded with 8 gold. So pretty cool. I'm assuming the coin pouch is going to give you coins when you play it, so you'll just get a burst of 8 coins, so you might not necessarily need to use them all at once. I think. I don't know. We'll see on the patch notes. But pretty interesting one there. Sylvanas, this is a little bit of a throwback to those of you that have been playing Battlegrounds for a long time. Sylvanas' buddy is actually it's a battle cry of what Sylvanas' hero power used to be. Which is remove a friendly minion and give its stats to its neighbors. Now this is a tier 5 undead. You might say, wait, why is that tier 5? So it can obviously be extraordinarily strong because you're basically doubling the stats of any given unit, right? Because it's giving it to both sides. And so that's just going to be really good. And if you give that much tempo early, we would see the impact very quickly. So Sylvanas also just picks up a lot of stats naturally with her hero power. So this buddy is going to be pretty interesting. The next buddy is the Jailer, Mawsworn Soulkeeper, a tier 3 3/3, summoning 3 tier 1 minions as a death rattle. So it's going to help you proc your hero power a little bit more. And so this might be one that you prioritize getting down earlier, even if you do have to invest some gold and don't wait until it costs 0, because those summons are just going to make your hero power accelerate in value so fast, especially because there's a lot of summons like Risen Rider, Scallywag, Micro Mummy on tier 1 that will sort of, you know, additionally be minions that will die to get your hero power stronger. And I do wonder now if we also see more 3-on-3 existing with buddies, because this seems like something where it's such a tempo spike and you kind of want to line up losing with, you know, getting stronger. And so there's going to be a lot more flexibility on curves now. Since you're not getting nothing if you lose, you're still incrementing that cost down by 2. But obviously, you know, for Jailer, we'll see you want minions on board to die. But if you are too strong, you're not going to get as much value from your buddies. So maybe we'll see some fast leveling curves with the Jailer, maybe a Refon curve, something like that. Our next buddy, new buddy, is Enhanso Meccano, is joined by Enhanso Medico. I'm not sure. Feels Italian. Medico. But it's the medic of the Enhansos. And the effect of Enhanso Medico is minions in Bob's Tavern with Taunt, Reborn, Wind Fury, or Divine Shield have +1/1 for each. Not just one, each. And so things like Bronze Warden, Colossus of the Sun are going to get doubled up. If you do find a Cinderace, it would have a +2/2 buff. Taunt Reborns will have +2/2, so pretty interesting. If something gets doubled up, like say a Bronzeword in their shop gets Wind Fury from Enhanso Mechano's hero power, it would be a +3/3 buff. So kind of a cool idea there for Enhanso Medico. Professor Futureside's buddy is going to be Festergut. That card art looks as gross as the name sounds, but its death rattle is going to be summon a random undead creation. It's gonna still follow the same rules, so you can't randomly get tier 6s out of this if you're not on tier 6. But it's gonna be a very strong tempo pickup, and if people continue to play Putricide on like, you know, a very power level happy line, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, you're gonna see pretty good creations coming out of that. And you know, it'll be interesting to see how the value stacks up, of course, because this is a death rattle. You're not going to get those battle cry values from those creations, but a lot of them have death rattle value, reborn value, and you can get econ through a lot of those coin death rattles for Professor Putricide. And the last one that we'll go over is Taryn Gorefiend, Shadowy Construct, a tier 3, 3/4 undead, a lot of undead buddies. After a friendly minion dies, give its neighbors +1/1. That reminds me of a card, Chiraji Harbinger, which they did say that they kind of pulled inspiration from for this buddy, and it's going to make you consider the positioning of your hero power target because it's going to give an immediate buff. But then, of course, as your board dies, it's going to be a very, very strong stacking buff from Shadowy Construct on your whole board. Obviously playing more into those summons and stuff, but this is going to be pretty interesting as a card. And might be interesting to play with something like a Terragosa that's going to keep those combat enchantments. If you can get that set up, you know, maybe not the best, but it could be pretty strong. It could be a lot of stats every combat if you have the right setup. So something to keep an eye on. Otherwise, just very strong tempo for an already quite strong tempo hero. But with that, I guess we'll wrap it up quick. I don't want to make this too long because we're just introducing some of the new buddies. And of course, it will remain to be seen what other changes we see in the game before we make too many predictions. All of this is just kind of ideas right now. But next week, we will have the full patch notes and we'll be able to break that down. Of course, if you want to see our breakdown on that, make sure to follow us here on YouTube and on Twitch at PockyPlays. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Are you excited for buddies to come back with the new system? Maybe fixing some of the errors of the past? I know I am. I think Battlegrounds needs a change up, and I like these event mechanics. Even if I wasn't the hugest fan of buddies originally, I think that this new balancing system is going to be way easier to balance them. There's going to be way more tiers to move buddies across. There's going to be a better way to balance heroes because you can also balance the buddies. You can balance the stats and the tiers and all these sorts of things along with the buddy effects. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. It might not be perfectly balanced. In fact, I'm sure it won't be perfectly balanced at first, but the potential is really good. And I'm hoping to see this be a better implementation for those that didn't like buddies the first time around, and a fun blast from the past for those that did. Anyways, thanks for watching, and of course, as always, peace.